we have to first talk about the importance of consciousness. This is an aspect of our reality which is most intimate to our existence and which is unfortunately most poorly understood. Consciousness, we often think of as an esoteric consideration, but it's really very simple, and it is this simplicity that we wish to address here at first. Consciousness is simply the ability to be awake. If you're an awake, intelligent being, which all of you listening to this tape are, you are of consciousness. Consciousness, in its pure form, is always unbounded. It is beyond space and time. Now, we often think of consciousness in terms of what we are conscious of. This is where the confusion lies. Consciousness is not what we are aware of. It is our capacity to be aware. Think about that. It is being aware of awareness. Now, this is not something that is divisible, nor is it something which is movable, nor is it something limited by any area of space or time. We'll show during the next few minutes why this is so. But I wish you to consider a very profound statement made by Edwin Schrödinger, who is a famous physicist early in this century, who actually came up with the wave theory, which is the basis for what we now call quantum mechanics. And he stated, the total number of minds in the universe are one. That is, consciousness is a singularity. It is not something which is divisible. In this regard, it's important to think of it in terms of some analogies, which I hope to use to clarify what we mean by this. Think of consciousness as the white light in a movie projector, which permits all the images of the film to be seen. Now, normally, we identify the light with the various images that are fleeting across the screen. In reality, the consciousness is the light itself, and the relativistic changing images are simply ways that consciousness are reflected or deflected. Another way of looking at it is an analogy with the ocean. We may view each of ourselves as individuals, such as the waves on an ocean or a sea. But the waves and the ocean itself are one unified reality. The water, the substance of those waves and of the ocean are identical. There is no difference. What is different is how we perceive this. Do we perceive ourselves as only waves, or do we perceive ourselves as the ocean? This then begins to get to a very philosophical question, but which has immense practical and scientific implications for our work. And that is, who are we? Now, there are two aspects, and two ways, I should say, of looking at this. One is that we are individuals. And then there is the transpersonal, or beyond individual self, which is unbounded and which is one. You can make an analogy with windows and individuals. Say you are in a grand house, or you're in Notre Dame in Paris, and you can look at all the different windows as the individualities, but is the light coming through those windows that is the unifying aspect. Our individualities, personalities, egos are windows through which this light of consciousness is shining. But the consciousness is never divided. The light is never divided. It simply appears that way as it reflects through the myriad different windows. So that your window may be a round and blue, and someone else's might be triangular and yellow, and someone else's may, just like a snowflake is different and each is unique. Our individualities are unique, but the consciousness which is streaming through our individuality, or which is expressed through our individuality, is a singularity. So now we want to start talking about that. Think for a moment, you may close your eyes if you like while we do this, about the fact that you are awake. Think about that for just a moment. You are conscious. You are awake. What is it that allows you to be conscious and awake? It is consciousness, conscious intelligence. Now, this conscious intelligence, it is not what you are hearing. It is that whereby you are able to hear. This consciousness, it is not your thoughts, but it is that whereby you are able to perceive your thoughts. It is not your feelings, but it is that whereby you are able to perceive your feelings. It is not your ego or personality, but this consciousness is that faculty whereby you are able to perceive your own self, or ego, or personality. This consciousness, this unbounded aspect of consciousness, is with you always, whether sleeping or awake. It is unbounded, and as we begin to peer into this consciousness, this unbounded, infinite conscious intelligence, we realize that it is the stuff of creation. It is the stuff of the universe. And from this we understand the ancient Indian saying that all this is that. All of this is nothing but reflections, deflections, and manifestations of that consciousness. And from one level of understanding, there is multiplicity, and from another, there is unity. What we wish to focus in on is this level of unity, this unified field of conscious intelligence. Now, as you sit here and contemplate these things, let yourself become aware of consciousness. Deeply look at the ability to be awake. Simply that. Your ability to be conscious. It is useful at this point to sit comfortably with your feet on the ground, your legs uncrossed, and take some nice, deep, cleansing breaths with your diaphragm, very deeply. Breathe in deeply, and then exhale fully. Do that several times. Let all the air out. As you do this, let go of all your concerns and all your worries. Relax and be at peace. Do this a few more times. Let yourself deeply relax. Feel yourself just floating in a sea of peace and quiet. Now begin to follow your breath. Who is this watching your breath? Yes, there is your individuality, your personality. But who is it that's conscious and awake? Who is looking through your mind, your individuality? Without straining, let yourself become aware of this consciousness. Sit quietly and let yourself just observe the faculty of awareness. Become intensely aware of awareness itself. Now, as you do this, you may do an exercise that helps distinguish what this consciousness is. Think about the sounds that you are hearing right now. Your consciousness, it is not bound by these sounds, but it is that whereby you are able to perceive these sounds. Look deeply into this consciousness. Now consider your thoughts. There are myriad thoughts racing across the mind. But let your mind be stilled and calmed. Now as an occasional thought comes by, become aware of that awareness whereby you are able to perceive these thoughts. Know that your consciousness is not bound by these thoughts, but your consciousness is that whereby you are perceiving these thoughts. You are awake. This conscious intelligence is unbounded. It transcends space and time. Become acutely aware of awareness. Feel the peace of it expanding, becoming infinite. Consciousness, this is where we are one. This conscious intelligence is omnipresent. It is the basis of our unity with each other and with all other sentient beings in the universe. Now, as you perceive this consciousness, appreciate its universal aspect that transcends your individuality. This is not difficult. It is your birthright. It's very simple. You are awake. You are conscious. Therefore, you are able to peer deeply into this consciousness and transcend all limitations of time and space. Now, as you become aware of this consciousness, this unbounded and pure aspect of existence, let your awareness expand to encompass the entire universe. Your individuality may not be capable of this, but the consciousness whereby you perceive your individuality is not only capable of this, but it has already achieved it. It is a reality right now and at all times. This is home. Perceive this deeply, feel it deeply. And as you do so, begin to spring into your awareness the great regions of space. See the beautiful spiral galaxies, the magnificent globular clusters of stars, extending forever. Now, as you perceive these, know that that which you are able to perceive in your mind's eye, that indeed you are able to be there through this faculty of expanded consciousness. The universe is folded within you. This consciousness whereby you are awake is a singularity. It is not divided by your ego, individuality, time, or space. And for this simple reason, you can transcend all limitations of time and space. Look at the great cosmic mind. See the far reaches of space filled with stars. Many suns, trillions upon trillions, with their planets, many of which have civilizations more advanced than our own here on Earth. As you look into these depths of space, visualize them clearly with your mind's eye. Do not see it as an inert, unliving reality. But as you peer into space with your mind's eye, see that it is filled with consciousness. Look at the great cosmic mind. Is it not the same consciousness streaming through the window of your individuality? It is, because it is indivisible. See the great stars. Now begin to visualize our beautiful Milky Way. It is a spiral galaxy. See it slowly rotating through space. As you see this galaxy, which we call the Milky Way, become aware that on one of its outer spiral arms sits a star, which we call the sun. Do not think this in words, but see it with your mind's eye. Visualize it intensely. While doing so, be aware that your consciousness is present in all that you behold, because it is this consciousness that is universal. Now, as you see this star, which we call the sun, zoom in on it with your mind's eye and see it rotating in space with all its accompanying planets. You can see Mercury, small and hot, very close, and then Venus. And then the third planet out, you see our beautiful Earth, and beyond that Mars and the rest of the planets. See this solar system of ours filled with consciousness. The stars are all around. Our beautiful Milky Way is all around. And from the perspective of the cosmic mind, which you have now perceived, see the beautiful planet Earth. The blue, cloud-covered, beautiful planet spinning through space, which we call home. Now, as you perceive this, invite quite clearly, with your thoughts and with the images of visualizing this, the extraterrestrial spacecraft and the people on board that craft, which are aware of this planet and our civilization. Invite them to come here. With humility and love and unity, invite them to come to this planet. Be aware that whereby they are able to be awake and sentient, that consciousness is the same consciousness which enables you to be awake at this moment. This is your level of oneness. This is the basis of your unity. And this is the basis and the means for your communication with those peoples. Now, while inviting them to this planet, become aware that they are very close. These spacecraft are scattered throughout our solar system and are in the nearby regions of our planet. Invite them to come, and out of a high sense of purpose and diplomacy, invite them to our home to enter into a relationship based on peace, mutual respect between our peoples and their people. Maintain your awareness of the cosmic mind. Become aware of awareness very deeply. And from this expanded place, visualize and guide them to the location of your intended CE5. From the perspective from space, look at the planet Earth. See North America as it would be seen from space. Do this with vision and not with words. Now visualize North America and send this vision, this picture, in a very clear and coherent way to the extraterrestrial people on board their spacecraft. Now direct them to that part of North America where you are presently located. Do this with great intensity and be very specific. Zoom in on North America and then on that section of North America where you are located, and then on the specific geological and geographical area, and send to them, through this sequencing of thought, a very clear and precise picture of where you are presently located. Do this with as much specificity as you can. If there are prominent geological features, cities which are lit at night, which might be landmarks, project that to them in a very specific fashion. Now invite them to come to this place, the CE5 site, and while maintaining this expanded consciousness, knowing deeply that you are able to communicate instantaneous with these beings, that you will be at that place, and that you welcome them to come in peace and in a spirit of mutual cooperation for the purpose of establishing an enduring and sustainable relationship between your group, between all humanity, and their people. Any and all extraterrestrial people visiting our planet are so welcomed. None are excluded. Now at this point it is useful to project a specific image of where you are located, and in doing so, show them a picture. Project this quite clearly out into the cosmic mind. The group, how it appears. Mentally project the sounds of the tones which you have now become familiar with and which you will be playing while you are outside in that location. And then visualize the spacecraft coming close. It is important to repeat this coherent sequence thought several times. Let us then return out to space. Let your mind expand. Look into the depths of the stars of space. See it filled with consciousness. And from that perspective, again see the beautiful Milky Way, the spiral arms, our beautiful sun, the planets rotating around the sun, our beautiful and lovely planet Earth, the part of the planet Earth where you are located, the specific geological region, the specific CE5 site, the group located on that site, all the time sending out welcoming thoughts of peace, invitation, cooperation, and love. Let them know that the entire group is unified, for this is very important, that everyone in the group is dedicated to a diplomatic and peaceful initiative which has its basis in unconditional love and acceptance of all conscious, intelligent beings in the universe. Let everyone in the group feel that. visualize this consciousness and this pure intention rotating up from the group in a great column of light, connecting with these extraterrestrial people on board their spacecraft. Know that this is not a fantasy. Know that this is real. This is not theoretical or philosophical. It is truth, it is scientific, and it is reproducible. You can do that, and have no doubt in your mind that you can. Be aware that the most important aspect of these protocols is the expansion of consciousness, the perception of oneness amongst the peoples in the group, and then from that level of expanded awareness, the projection of coherent thought sequences using visualization to guide these people on board the spacecraft to the CE5 site. Implicit in all of these actions is a spirit of cooperation, peace, and motives which are altruistic and selfless. This is not for the curiosity seeker, nor for the individual wishing to gain personal knowledge alone. What is effective is when the group has transcended their own personal interests and realized the importance of developing a sustainable relationship between well-intentioned humans and those extraterrestrial peoples visiting our planet at this time in the Earth's history. This is a matter of great urgency, and it is for that reason that our efforts have been and will continue to meet with success. Sit quietly in this consciousness and with a very clear vision of why you are engaging in this research. Our intentions are nothing less than the establishing of a sustainable relationship between humans and all those extraterrestrial civilizations which are presently observing this planet and which may be assisting in the transition of this planet to a world civilization of peace and enduring splendor.